Halstead Telephone Company and R&J Broadcasting Incorporated is proud to present to you this broadcast on yourliveevent.com.
Hello, welcome in to the yourliveevent.com robotics show. I'm your host, Mac Robinson. Of course, we are powered by Enbridge, and of course, we always keep you up to date regarding all things robotics here in northern Minnesota, as well as over in North Dakota as well. Keep you up to date on all things robotics. So this week's episode, we're going to be talking with ProDig as well as the OtterBots coming up a little bit in just a little bit. But up first, we're going to be talking with the Backwoods engineers. Of course, our very own Jake Berkemeyer speaking with them earlier. Jake, take it away.
We welcome in team 3294, the Backwood engineers from Pine River Bacchus, to join us now in our weekly robotics interviews brought to you by Enbridge Energy. And welcome in Mike Shutka there on the left. We got Andrew Rudlang in the left center. Miranda and Alexa there join us as well too. And welcome. Thank you for joining us here. And I guess we'll jump right into it here with Miranda and Alexa, and take a turn here to give us a little background knowledge about how you got started in robotics and what your experience has been so far.
We were first introduced to robotics when we were in Lego League, and we were told we should join robotics when we were old enough to.
All right, so the Lego League, that the early stages there, the elementary program there, and what were some of the things that you did in the Lego League that really sparked the interest to eventually get to where you are now?
I feel like programming actually was my interest in Lego League, but now I'm not so sure about that. I'd rather do wiring and building.
All right.
About the Alexa rule that Lego
No.
League. So when they went to one of the Lego League competitions, they brought an extra laptop, was it?
Brought the computer into like where we compete, and there was no rule about it until the next year when there was a rule clearly stating you can't bring a computer into competition with you.
That's called the Alexa rule.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes it's cool to get stuff named after you, right?
And that's why the rule manual for FRC is 150 pages.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you talk about starting out in programming, then now you're into more of the wiring there. Is there any reason that you've kind of gravitated more to the wiring and I guess maybe the hands-on type of things?
OCD. I couldn't stand how they'd bundle up the wires in the robot, so I'd go through and unplug them all and redo it.
Well, there's advantages to having everything nice and clearly labeled and laid out properly. So is that kind of continued more so this year as you, along with your Miranda there yourselves, have become team leaders for the Backwoods engineers?
Yeah.
Yep.
This year's robot is beautiful, wiring wise.
Yes.
Miranda, your role on the team, what are the things that you enjoy?
I don't know. I do a little bit of everything. Since we're such a small team, I help Alexa wire, but I don't place the wires unless I want to lose a limb. And I help design the robot, build it.
All right. Let's talk about the design process for this year. When you guys got the rule book for this year's game and the challenges that you'd face, what were the first things that you guys did to start the process?
Change our mind on wheels. We were dead set that we were going to do Mecanum Drive this year, and after seeing the game, we did not do Mecanum Drive. That was the first big conversation.
We actually set up a board at 15 degrees and tried to drive our old robot with Mecanum wheels up the 15-degree incline, and it kept sliding to the side and wouldn't stick. So it kind of changed our minds on what type of drive we were going to use this year.
Has there been a few items where you've kind of had to test it and change and adapt to so far already?
Most definitely. Our claw mechanism, we thought of doing it one way, and then after watching a lot of videos and seeing a lot of designs, we ended up putting it different.
We've gone through many different ideas on claws.
All right, and do you have a pretty good idea of where you're going from here, or are you still in that testing phase?
It's solidifying.
Yeah.
Some parts have been ordered.
Some parts have been ordered.
We're going to maybe go down a route that utilizes servos, and for the most part, using servos is kind of new to most of us. The last few robots have not used them in any capacity, so we'll see if they can help us out there and make the challenge a little less difficult. More to come in the mail, I guess, part-wise.
For the team, what did you think the biggest challenge for this year's competition would be?
Probably autonomous and organizing strategy.
Yeah, strategy is going to be the big one this year.
All right, so what are you working on right now to overcome those?
We've played out some hypothetical matches on the whiteboard that seem maybe unrealistic. When you play 3 teams versus 3 other teams, and sometimes you only meet the other teams for a few minutes before your match, trying to figure out what people are going to be thinking and how we're going to come together as an alliance of 3 robots and figure out cubes, cones, where, when, and manage the traffic of crossing the field to get those game pieces. We don't have the answers yet, but we are concerned about how that's all going to play out when we get to the field.
The 0 week, the scrimmages, those will be interesting to see how everyone adjusts to that. And when you get into that game competition for the roles on the team, talk us about your team, the other members there, and kind of what everyone does on event day.
We have a lot of new members, so week 0 is kind of going to be the test drive of who's on our drive team besides for us 2, and what positions they're actually going to have. Because what is it? We have 1 other person that's been on the team a year. Otherwise, everybody else is new.
We definitely want to pin down who's going to do what, so it's not complete chaos in Duluth.
All right. Have some of the new members start to grasp their strong suits or what they enjoy, what they excel at there in that robotics yet?
Well, some are very new, like joined within the last 2 weeks. So we started out the year this year with just 3 members, and only 2 that really had experience. And now we're up to 9, I believe. So pretty much the whole team is new. So it's going to be interesting how it all plays out, but and whether we'll keep those people or not too, it remains to be seen.
Some of the new students who rewired this test robot, they did pretty good work on this. It turned out pretty nice. So there's definitely hope for some clean wiring on our future robots, I think. That'll make somebody happy.
Well, let's talk about your test robot, your self-propelled toolbox there, as Miranda and Alexa kind of go through what you did here with this project here to develop it and make it work.
Well, when we first had this idea, we thought it would be fun to have our toolbox follow us or whatnot. And then and during it, like off season, we were like, let's finally actually do it. We've been talking about it for so long. So we started off with not even these same wheels, but it's been updated a lot since we first started developing it.
A lot of trial and error.
It's a great learning project.
It tore
Yeah.
itself apart a few times in testing, so.
It's gotten a little bit speedy. I think it's good for 16 miles an hour now, and that's a bit much.
Okay, wow. Okay,
Maybe I can send you some B-roll later if you use that to these shows.
we'd love to see it in action. That would be great.
I have videos.
The whole purpose of it was to actually have a test bot, so that this toolbox actually has every component in it that an actual robot would need. It's got the Robo Rio, the power distribution board, the everything. It's got, you name it, radio included. It's ready to go. So it can be programmed like a robot. We can test a lot of drive functions with it. We can hook up other things to it and test those while the actual robot's being worked on. So it's more than just for show. It actually has a use. So that's nice.
Yeah, having the new students get to pull all the wires off of it and like, all right, we're gonna make it work, we're gonna make it go. And sometimes we're able to do that with last year's robot too, but it just varies. This one is simplified and compact and easier to digest than most of the competition robots. They get a little complicated sometimes.
And you can carry it around.
My name is Jared, born and raised in Minnesota, and I'm a project director at Enbridge. Enbridge is more than a pipeline company. It's a company participating in renewable energy projects in Minnesota and abroad, and I'm really proud to be working here.
We believe a cleaner energy future is achievable. For over 20 years, we've been early adopters of renewable energy, and we're proudly committed to net zero emissions by 2050. To hear more from Jared, visit enbridge.com/Jared. That's JERRID.
Going back to the new members you talked about, and maybe Mike or Andrew as coaches, mentors, there might be, I don't know, we all let you decide who should answer it best, but recruiting amongst the students at the school, kind of how does that process go, or how has the interest for robotics, have we seen the increases here year to year in the popularity?
It's very difficult, especially in a small school. We're competing against all the other sports. So we've got basketball going on, wrestling going on, girls basketball going on. We've got a play, there's speech,
Knowledge bowl.
So for a small school, it doesn't leave a lot of people. Your pool of people is very small. So trying to convince those people to give robotics a try is difficult. That small pool that we pull from, we do that through posters, videos. We have a robotics display case where we put our trophies and things like that. You hope to generate some excitement as the season approaches. We send out emails to all the students showing them all the different things that they can be. It's a huge list of what's you can do in robotics. It doesn't just have to be, I've had students come to me and say, well, I would sign up for robotics, but I don't want to do all the math. And it's like, no, there's so much more. There's, working with the tools. We have a lathe in our shop. We have a mill, drill presses. We have welders. So there's something for that crew. There's funding, fundraising, marketing. There's accounting. There's so many different areas that other students can jump into that don't require just sitting down and doing math. So you have to let them all know that, because they are under the impression that they have to be, a 4.0 student in order to even be in the program. So we try to send those things out to all the students, and hopefully they read them. There's things we have monitors all over the school. We put things on the monitors so that we can kind of catch them between classes. But even then, it is difficult to recruit for the team.
With those challenges that you just talked about, what advice could you give to other small schools, large schools, medium schools, whatever school it is, but especially to the small schools that want to get a robotics program going, but maybe are just looking for that footing to start with?
That is a great question. We've been trying to figure that out year to year to year as the dynamics change in classes. You have some classes that are more, I don't know, maybe device oriented, I could say, and others that don't really do that. So it's hard to speak to everyone the same way. But I would just say you just have to get out there. We do there's a talent show that takes place here every year in the winter time, and we usually try to bring the robot to the talent show so that everybody can see what it's doing. We can kind of show it off. You just have to do whatever it is you have to do to make it work. And it's can be different from year to year. Hang on just a second.
That's other Jake.
That's other Jake.
There's Jakes everywhere there. So, okay. Well, Mike's taking care of that too. I got to ask, have you thought about maybe taking the toolbox and carrying textbooks through the hallway to get kids interested that way?
We've talked about it.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about taking any of our robots to the halls before, or going classroom to classroom.
I feel like at one point me and Miranda talked about a snack box that would
Yeah.
just go down
Like a
the
vending
hallways.
machine on a robot.
Collectively, I think the type of personality we tend to get, myself included, we're kind of shy. Most of us aren't terribly outgoing and chomping at the bit to show off. We like to hide in our shop here and keep to ourselves a little bit. So that's part of our challenge.
Well, opportunities to show off as we have another member joining us here. We'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Shannon. We're repairing last year's robot currently.
All right.
We're blocking her path to the parts and tools.
All right. We'll let her go through and get what she needs there. We talk about letting people see your work then. So you got the events coming up. Of course, there's the 0 week, and then I believe you're going to the Duluth regional after that. What other events are you all looking forward to this year?
That's the only two that we have planned for this year. With a small school, money is always hard to come by, so you can't just sign up willy-nilly for every event that's possible. So we hope that's another area that all teams have to be concerned about, I'm sure, is funding. This year we lost our major funder, our corporate sponsor. So we had to really dig in deep and try to find other sponsors to fill that gap. But we made it so that we could at least go to Duluth, which was good. And then, of course, there is the NMRC championship that they hold in October. So we're looking forward to that, but that's a ways out yet. There might even be a complete redesign of the robot between Duluth and the championship. You just never know. If it doesn't work out well there, you say, okay, back to the drawing board.
All right. Miranda and Alexa, when you get to the competition events, can you describe it? What the arena is like? What just the excitement around the event?
It's chaotic. There are people screaming and dancing and yelling all over the place.
And then like at Duluth, we're like running around for 4 days getting to our matches, and there's a lot of excitement, but it's also quite exhausting.
Yeah. Organized
That's the
chaos.
challenge of a small team too, is the amount of stress and work there is to be done is spread over a smaller amount of people. So we're grateful to have a few new team members this year to.
So we're not going to safety meetings and missing driving.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. What would you want to tell other students at your school, at other school, about why they should get into robotics?
Because it's fun. You get to meet new people, learn new experiences you wouldn't in the classroom, and you get to meet other people from all over the country.
It's also a great opportunity if you're thinking of going into engineering or the robotics industry, which both me and you, I think, are
Yeah.
considering.
That's good. That actually leads into my next question. I was going to ask, is that something you're looking at going forward? And it sounds like even as juniors, you both are looking at that as the next level.
Mhm.
Well, that's great. Is there anything else that we want to talk about or let people know or share information on, or where people can find information, anything else here about robotics and things going on here with the Backwood engineers?
Tell them about our media person and our different sites.
Yeah, we don't have the strongest online presence right now. We have a little bit. Luckily, we're on the NMRC's website. They carry a lot of good info there, especially if there was a school in the greater Minnesota area that was looking to start a team. The NMRC is an amazing resource.
We do have an Instagram account and a Facebook account. We have a media person who their job is to just take pictures once in a while and post our progress. Write down some info on upcoming matches and things like that. But yeah, we don't have a huge online presence, as Andrew said.
All right. Well, hopefully this will help bring some notoriety to you guys then too. We appreciate the time and the chance to chat with you very much. Mike, Andrew, Miranda, Alexa, the guest appearance from Shannon as well too. Join us here today with our Northern Minnesota Robotics Conference interviews here with the Enbridge Energy. Again, thanks to all of you here, and we look forward to seeing you later on the year with some interviews or some events.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The PRB Boosters are happy to sponsor coverage of the Tigers. Like them on Facebook for events and fundraisers. The PRB Boosters could use your help. Be part of great events and fundraisers, all built to give back and present more opportunities for the students of Pine River Backus schools. For information or to get started, email prboosterclub1.com. Meetings are the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. at the school. Good luck, Tigers, from the PRB Boosters. Restock on food, fuel, and baits at locally owned Station 371 on Highway 371 in Pine River. Station 371 has bait and tackle, quality Cenex gasoline, off-road diesel, and is the only stop with #1 diesel. Make sure to stop by to wash off the sand and salt with their indoor car wash, open when the temp is at least 26 degrees. They'll hook you up with your fishing and hunting licenses too. Station 371 on Highway 371 in Pine River. Thank you for supporting local business.
Hello, welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. Of course, we're powered by Enbridge. And I'm your host, Mac Robinson. I got a chance to sit down with the OtterBots 3293. Got a chance to sit down, chat with them a little bit earlier. Here's my conversation with the OtterBots. And welcome back here to the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. I'm your host, Mac Robinson. Joining me now, the OtterBots team 3293 joining me. Mentor Bill Swanson, as well as Landon and Eric from the OtterBots joining me now. And guys, thank you for joining me. And Landon and Eric, I think I'll start with you guys. When it came to the game getting announced this back in January now, almost a month at this point, since the game was announced, what were your guys' initial reaction when it came to the game coming out? And, maybe what challenges did you guys kind of pick up immediately?
Not that much players off.
Well, one thing that really stood out is the game pieces were very interesting, just the differences between the cone and the cube. Interesting to try and design something that can move both of those, or
well, the variability between those game pieces isn't there this year, so not all the same type of game piece.
And then, on top of it for you guys as well, when it came to, this game compared to, the past couple of years, I know last couple of years, it's been very similar where, you're basically putting the ball in the basket at that point, and very, very similar type of approaches, with this year being a difference when it comes to, picking up those different pieces, like you said, the interesting shapes and everything. Did that present more of a challenge for you guys when it came to planning for your build for your robot this year? Or, what kind of strategic thought process that you guys kind of have, based on this year compared to previous years?
I guess I was kind of grateful this year. We were kind of grateful that there's no climbing and there's no falling robots. I think it's good to switch it up to a balancing and just a driving around. I think it's also nice to have an open field so you can see things. Like past few years, it's always just been something in the middle and it's tough to see. It's nice to have wide open view.
And Landon, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with him on that climbing part. That was kind of stressful last year with all that, but this year, I'm not really sure what to think yet, but I'm excited for it, I guess. So.
And then for all three of you, how long have you guys really been involved in robotics as well? Because I know I sound like a broken record each week when it comes to these interviews, but I wish that somebody would have told me about this when I was growing up, because it looks like it's fantastic to be able to work in. So for you guys, how did you guys get involved in all of this?
So I think this is my 14th year as a mentor here for the OtterBots. When I moved back to Fergus Falls, they had just started, I think there was a big surge in teams in Minnesota. Ken Rosen, went out and did a ton of recruiting on everyone. And my boss at the time had somebody reached out to him and said, hey, they're looking for some mentors on the team. And I had just moved back and said, yeah, I'll try that. And it's really been quite a journey along the way. And it's just been tremendous to get to know these kids and be a part of this for so many years. I think back to some of the more memorable teams. We had a pretty big team to start off with when we had a rookie team way back when. I think we've had as many as 20 on the team in the past, and we've had as few as 3 on the team. And, year that we had 3 on the team, we qualified for the World Championship. So we never know what to expect for sure, And I just say this, I know you asked a question, but this year these guys talked about the game, and we have a larger number of younger people on the team, people that don't have as much experience as these guys, what they'll probably tell you. But I think as a result of that, some of the strategy that we've picked up, we've tried to be, Landon and I have talked about it. We've tried to be a little simpler, maybe not take on quite as much this year, and try to do things well, nice, reliable mechanisms, if we can do that. And so I think, sometimes great things happen when you dial it back and you don't try to climb to the top in 7 seconds or something like that, which cost us a couple of balls last year. So 14 years for me, I guess. Go ahead, Landon.
Well, I started my freshman year, and then I had 1 year that was interrupted during the coronavirus, of course, but I got into it after I was helping teach some younger kids how to program and build the little Lego robots.
Yeah.
I think it was a group of maybe 2nd and 3rd graders, and the teacher for that class actually recommended that I come talk to the mentors here about joining. So
you're glad he did.
Eric, what about you?
So he's my dad, and I'm 14 years old. So I don't know. Have I been doing this since
since about that time?
Yeah.
It's been about 2.
So it's been really fun over the years, from just watching it and experiencing it to progressing on actually thinking about designs and stuff. And while when I was in, third grade, I didn't really know a whole lot. It was still really fun to experience it. And I'm really grateful that I actually got to, do it since 1 year old or whatever. So
And maybe I should explain too. So the Landon's our team captain for the year, and he's designing a component for the robot that I think is kind of key for us overall, a little bit more complicated. And without giving too much away, maybe I'll come back to you as far as that design goes. But Eric is taking on the programming for us this year, and trying to do something for us. Well, you can go ahead and tell them what we're trying to do this year.
yeah, so we actually took on two pretty big projects this year, and it was we changed from LabVIEW to Java, which was, it's crazy to learn Java in such a short time. And we also took on Swerve Drive. And so it's a double whammy on the programming. And as of right now, it's working.
Yes,
So
they seem to be doing pretty well so far.
We pulled all the wires off of it
Yeah.
now, so I don't know as of right now it's working, but
we're hopeful it'll keep working, but it's been a good learning curve, and it's a lot to learn. So yeah.
Well, I mean, at that point, you might as well rip the Band-Aid off. You might as well throw all of that in there at that point, right? Just if you're making one change, you might as well do it all. But Bill, for you, you've had 14 years of experience with this now. How does this game kind of stack up to some of the ones in previous years in your eyes?
they're all really fun. I mean, the game comes out every year. You're excited to see what kind of crazy challenge is going to come up. I will say this game is nice this year for us. Climbing last year, we tumbled off the high bar a couple of times and left some parts of the robot shredded around the field. So nice maybe not to do that this year. I'd say the OtterBots have typically tried to do the hard thing on the field and tried to figure out a way to do it well or do it fast. Sometimes it's really worked for us, and sometimes it is not. It's been more challenging. This year, I don't know if we found really what the hard thing is. It's probably going to be balancing. And so far, I'm not sure we have a great strategy for that yet. Maybe we're going to be using programming more and our gyro to see if we can make that work out. But I think Landon said it. I think it's tremendous to have an open field, and I think it's going to be super exciting. And there's some things that the other teams and other mentors have said, even in your interviews, that sort of tipped us off that there might be some important things to think about.
Well, and with that being said too, Landon and Eric, a couple of things for you guys, with so many different roles and different possibilities that you guys can do, whether it be programming or building or even just driving and maintaining the control of the robot during the actual events. For you guys, how did you guys find, your interest in all of these? I know, Landon, you mentioned, the programming side of it too. But when it comes to just finding that role for each other and kind of getting into that kind of into a groove for yourselves.
Well, I actually don't do a whole lot of programming here on the team. I like working a lot with my hands and also 3D design and such. So that's kind of, I work with designing different parts for the robot and kind of bringing that to life.
Okay.
Yeah, this too, that I think some of this work, that he's done on the team, he's picked up internship, a job at one of the local employers here in town, and I think that has lended itself well to that kind of a thing. And then what else are people doing downstairs, Eric, with regards to what are they working on?
We have a crew working on the robot and wiring right now. And we also have a kind of a dry crew and logos and stuff and flags. So we also have a crew for that. They help with the robot too, but they also like making logos and designs.
And I'd say too that part of it is I think Landon's doing a nice job with, we've got a lot of young people, a lot of first year students, and so trying to get them exposed to all the areas. So
right.
The team that was working on bumpers and flags today is down there wiring the robot and running the bandsaw. So everybody's doing everything.
Where it might be nice. We have a little bit smaller team, about 12 students this year, but having that variety where they can kind of figure out for themselves what they want to do and kind of learn all the steps that go into building the robot. Very beneficial.
And then with that being said too, you guys have mentioned, you guys mentioned the 12 people on the team this year, especially, but, being in the pit, it feels like other sports, you have other different games, everything like that. You have different people that are, being able to play in those different environments. But, I feel like with robotics, because anybody can come in and participate, that's something that I think it is really the benefit to robotics compared to anything else. As long as you have an interest in it, you can find a role for yourself. But, for you guys, what's it like being in that pit with so many different personalities and different people, and being able to, work alongside to get this robot, working, whether it be with the different drivetrains and everything like that too, and getting it functioning?
Can I make
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, Mac, I hear what you're saying, and I think, because we have so many young people, I think having them in the pit for the first time is going to be a tremendously eye-opening experience. You get personalities here in the room, and you see that, and a lot of them don't know what's going to hit them when they get to the regional. And we're working next door to somebody that has got 12 students, and there are a lot of young people and a lot of personalities there too. So I think you guys mentioned too, and I think we're kind of feeling our way through that a little bit. And I'm just really excited to get these new people to a regionals to kind of get their experience and see how they take it too. Because working on the robot is fun, and I think we're having a lot of fun down there. But it's not quite nothing like the regional when you're there.
So I guess as a little kid, I always got to watch, the people down there, and I was like, oh, I want to be the driver someday, or whatever I wanted to be. I don't know. But it was always just such a big, cool thing. And when I finally got to do it last year, it was just like, oh, it's here, and I was put on human player, which I was happy about, but human player didn't have a whole lot to do last year. And this year it looks like it's going to be a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so.
And so it'll be exciting. So now there's more like human robot interaction. And I think that's one of the big fun parts of the game.
And then, for all three of you, what are some of your individual goals for this year? And what are some of the goals that you guys have as a team overall for this year as well?
Starting that up.
Okay. I guess I want our team to make it to state. I think that'd be really cool to do. And I think it's tougher to, do really well at state than to qualify for the Worlds. And, there's a lot of just stuff that comes with the Worlds. So it'd be really nice, to do well at state or get picked for the tournament in the afternoon at state.
Landon, what about you?
Well, I'm really kind of looking more to help the team itself grow, kind of leave an influence on them. It's my last year here. Of course, there's a lot of younger kids. I want to make sure that they have a good experience and that they want to keep moving forward and on the team, I guess.
I want to get everybody through safely. Yeah, new students, as I've given the instructions on the bandsaw, I think about 4 times to everybody so far. But then just we really want to open it up. We've got some conflicting winter sports that are kind of wrapping up in some things, and I really want to expand it. If we can get some students here, even the last couple of weeks, and they want to come to the regional, just to help awareness and grow the program. And I appreciate kind of what Landon has been doing, thinking about just a real kind of I don't want to say basic, but a simpler design, reliable design, so we can just enjoy the regional as much as we can, and maybe not see some of the frustration that we've seen in some of our more complicated robots over the past. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a great regional, great year for us.
All right, that is Bill Swanson, mentor for the OtterBots, along with Landon and Eric of the OtterBots at 3293, joining me here on the YourLiveEvent.com robotics show. Again, appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This year, Schrupp Excavating is celebrating 40 years of digging it right. With this milestone year, Schrupp Excavating wants to thank all of their past, current, and future employees and customers. They appreciate all you've done to help Schrupp Excavating become one of the most trusted companies in the Lakes area.
For any excavation project, Schrupp Excavating will have your project done right and on time. Serving Pine River, Bacchus, Pequot Lakes, and all the surrounding communities. Schrupp Excavating LLC. Online at schruppexcavating.com.
I'm dreaming of a world where thinkers and doers collide. Where technology creates pathways for new opportunities and ideas. I want to ask questions and shape the answers that lead to real and meaningful advancements in this digital era. I'm going to innovate the world someday.
Hello, welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. Of course, we're powered by Enbridge. And I'm your host, Mac Robinson. I got a chance to sit down with the OtterBots 3293. Got a chance to sit down, chat with them a little bit earlier. Here's my conversation with the OtterBots. Yeah, that one actually felt great. All right, sweet. All right, let's do one more as well. All right, and 3, 2, 1. Hello, welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, we're powered by Enbridge, and I also got a chance to sit down with ProDig 3277. Got a chance to speak with them earlier today. Here's my conversation with Team ProDig. And welcome back into the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. I'm Mac Robinson. Joining me now, Aubriana and Briley of Team ProDig 3277. Joining me today. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. And, for both of you, obviously a different game this year compared to the last couple of years where, last couple of years it's been more ball in the basket type. And obviously last year you had a lot more of a climbing aspect. This year it feels more like a problem-solving aspect coming into this year. What did you guys think when you saw the noon game get announced? And, what do you think some of the challenges were, when it came to identifying the different challenges in this game here?
I think when we first saw this game, we immediately went to the rules because the rules are where all the small details and the fine details are worked out. And when we were looking at it, we're thinking this is not going to be a very defense heavy game. There is a very small window where you can actually get hits, and so we were thinking of maybe being able to go with a more vulnerable robot that's being able to maybe speed, but less of being able to push somebody else around and incorporate that into our idea. We also had some back and forth thinking of how we want to score these cubes. We knew that we've been a pretty good robot in the past couple of years, so we're going for the most points. So we knew that we wanted to at least try to get something on the wiggle station. That's what we call the what do you call that? The charging station. We call it the wiggle station. And then something and score on the high node.
And we also want to be able to score cones as well because there's more places for the cones, and we weren't sure if many other teams are going to get the cones compared to the cubes.
Okay. And when it comes to the build so far, what's been the most challenging aspect of the process so far for your team there?
Really, for the build, we had a base already or kind of built. We had been working on a t-shirt shooting robot in the off season, and so it was a trap robot. And this year we really wanted to get Swerve Drive going, but we had parts on order, but they hadn't arrived yet. And so we were just like, well, we're gonna start with this and see where we can go from there. And as we started to flesh it out and started to get a base built, that really came and well, this actually is looking really good. And we kept on going through it. In the first couple of weeks, we were really on thinking on how do we want to score this. And one of our mentors brought up the idea of an excavator arm. And I know there's been a lot of teams that have been saying, they're not going to do claws this year because they think they're not going to do grip. But we had a really really high hope for our claw. One of the main challenges that I think we've fixed or we've gotten through is on an excavator arm, they're able to turn 360 over and over and over again without ever having to worry about it. But we were trying to find some sort of connection for that or some way to make that work without getting wires tangled up or something like that. And we've gotten that figured out, and I think we can turn around 360 at least twice before we would ever pull out a wire, and that's that's really good, and I don't think we'll be able to turn around that far. But the 180 would be really nice. And then the hardest part is probably come down to what we're putting on the end. How are we grabbing these cubes or the cones?
And then one aspect that for me, I'm always interested in, especially because nobody told me about this when I was growing up, and I'm still mad at all the people from my high school that never told me about it. So, out of anything, how did both of you get involved in all of this, and how'd you guys kind of find your role that you feel most comfortable with?
This is my 4th year now. I'm a senior. We used to do, well, we still do. We did some recruiting at the middle school and tried to get people who are interested in programming, interested in building mainly technical stuff then. We used to have more of a marketing team now. But I was interested in programming then, obviously still interested in programming now. And yeah, I got into it from there.
I got into it because in our middle school we have a Vex IQ team, and I had lots of fun building that team. We are 3-time defending state champions, but I've moved on to first now. My mom is also the head coach, and my dad has now become a mentor. So family ties are pretty strong into robotics. So even when I wasn't on the team, I was pretty much on the team.
Well, then, Briley, for you then at that point, growing up around it as well, do you think that added a little bit more experience for you, kind of seeing how some of the other builds have gone and, being able to lean on that previous experience to try to say, hey, you know what, maybe this has worked in the past a little bit. Maybe this might work out well for us here.
Very, very much so. Like I sometimes I try to incorporate my past designs. Like this year when we're working on that claw in Vex IQ, I know we've always had this claw design built, and we based ours off pretty close to that one actually, and hoping it turns out well. And I know a lot of the problem solving that you get into Vex IQ is a little bit different because you only have so many pieces, but here you get into first, and now you have unlimited pieces. You can work with whatever your budget is, and it really frees up your ideas, and you can go really crazy with some of ours.
And then, one thing for both of you here as well is that, I'm always interested in, how different personalities mesh. And, in sports, you might have certain people that might mesh well or might, gravitate towards a certain sport. But the thing that I love about robotics is that just about anybody can do it and anybody can join in. So for both of you, what's it like being able to balance, the different personalities that come in and, for both of you being around, robotics for so long, what's it like trying to get somebody who's new coming in, getting them adjusted to what's it like being in the pit?
I'd say that there is a stereotype, in robotics, you're kind of a nerd. I'm in a good deal of sports myself. I do cross country, track, trap. I do a lot of things. I'm very split. Trying to bring in some people from other sports, trying to recruit them, it's hard. But I think, if they get in there, and it's just the type of person you are. If you're a very hands-on person, you like to do it, you're going to be good in the building team. And I don't know about you.
Yeah,
programming.
I've tried to recruit people from Mathlete. Haven't been super successful because a lot of our Mathletes are busy doing other things. But yeah, we're able to find people who are interested in programming at the very least. And yeah.
And then for both of you, what are some of your individual goals for this year, and what are your goals as a team for this season as well?
For me individually, this will be my first year on the drive team, and I hope I can do good and get some points up there, I guess, and not break the robot. That's probably the main one. Hope I didn't have.
For me, I'm pivoting more towards the drive coach role on the drive team. So really just getting into the mind of figuring out strategies with other teams. I've always been pretty good at communicating with other teams, but yeah, it'll be interesting to be more of like the head collaborator on my team.
And then as a overall team goal, I think honestly just going in and hoping to maybe this year try to make it as one of the top 3 picking alliances. Usually we end up right around the 8th. Yep. So we usually are the underdogs. We have to try to work our way up to the brackets.
And then last question for both of you here. I'm always interested, especially because everybody has different experiences and everything like that. But Briley, you've obviously been in this quite a bit here throughout your life, not just on the team, but also just being around it as well. And Brianna, for you being involved in this all 4 years, what's your favorite experience that you guys have had through robotics?
I think probably either one of the crunch times where we have 3 matches to go and our robot has 2 wheels on it. We need 4, and we're like, well, give me the Allen wrench, give me the wrench. We gotta get this together. Or just seeing some of the people at the competitions. Like I think it was the Grand Forks Regional last year. There's a man who had like a 6-foot tall box hat. He was just walking around. It's pretty funny to laugh at him. He was dancing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and obviously like the chainmail pin people.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah, just the overall culture surrounding first is really fun.
All right, thank you so much, Briley Abriana from Prodigy, joining me at 32-77. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate the time.
My name is Jared, born and raised in Minnesota, and I'm a project director at Enbridge. Enbridge is more than a pipeline company. It's a company participating in renewable energy projects in Minnesota and abroad, and I'm really proud to be working here.
We believe a cleaner energy future is achievable. For over 20 years, we've been early adopters of renewable energy, and we're proudly committed to net zero emissions by 2050. To hear more from Jared, visit enbridge.com/Jared. That's JERRID.
And welcome back into the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. I'm your host, Mac Robinson. Joining me now, we have Natasha Olsonawski of Team Prodigy, 3277. And Natasha, thank you for joining me. And when it comes to this year's game, last couple of years, it's been similar types of games the last couple of years where it's been pretty much ball in the basket. But this year, it seems like there's more of that strategic and strategic, almost puzzle solving side to it this year. What did you notice from when the game was announced? What was your first reaction?
Well, I think me and all the kids were just talking about the fact that we don't feel like there's going to be a lot of defense. But then as we've got into it more, then we're kind of thinking, well, no, maybe there'll be more than actually what we were anticipating. It'll be interesting to see how people interact in the specific zones. And I'm not too sure, I just feel like at some point in time, someone's going to go launching off of the charge station at some point in time. And I just want to be there to see it all happen.
We got to have the Dukes of Hazzard horn ready to go when it's going up. But, the other side of it too is that, when it comes to robotics as a whole, the beauty of it in my eyes is the fact that, in some sports you have, players that are the kids that are better suited for different sports. But robotics, it's a situation where, anybody can join and anybody can find a role where they're able to kind of thrive with, in your eyes, how do you balance, finding those roles and, kind of guiding maybe sometimes the students where you think that they might, be best suited as well too?
Well, it surely starts out with, we just let every kid, gravitate to what they're currently interested in first. And, so they might start out with doing some build and then cross that off the list and say, nope, that isn't what I like to do. Then they move on to the next option. And it's just that, process of elimination of what fits them the best. Some kids think that they're going to be drivers from day one. And then they get out onto a practice field and they're all of a sudden they get flustered and they're like, no, I can't be a driver. And you're like, no, you can't be a driver. So it's a process of just elimination and asking them questions, getting them to think some processes through. Sometimes it's one thing where they're really good in the school setting, but then you get to the bigger event and they get a little bit intimidated. And so then you have to kind of reel them back in. Some kids who don't think that they like crunching numbers all of a sudden get totally into statistics and looking at scouting, which is so fabulous. So I guess me as the coach, it's always about asking the next question. Okay, did you like doing this? Did you like doing that? And if I get the no's, okay, then let's have you go here. Obviously, I'm always trying to start every student off as a programmer because I don't think you can have enough programmers on a team. And it seems to be our area that we usually are lacking in. So that's my first question. Are you interested in programming? But we show them all the facets when they come in. It's always working like on a buddy system. We'll have kids already working in those different areas like build, coding, marketing, media. And we have them sit with the other students. And then if that's not their interest, then we kind of, move them around like musical chairs. But they usually find their spot. Right now, I would say I have one student on my team that still hasn't kind of figured out what he likes. But usually by now we've kind of like molded them in. So that's the only interesting one. But usually, like I said, we're 5 weeks in, they've kind of got it figured out.
And when it comes to, the whole planning process, when it comes to, for the students strategizing and building, along this, at this point, 5 weeks in, like you mentioned, where are they usually at, and how's the process really been coming along for your build? I know, getting a chance to see your robot a little bit, seems like you guys are in a pretty good place at this point.
I would say that we are probably in the best place we've been in the 10 years that I've been on the team. So I'm happy, we have a drivetrain, it moves, there's an arm appendature. So we are happy with our bot. Now, of course, you can get out to the practice field next Saturday and all of a sudden nothing works the way you want it to. But I am happy. And, part of it is that the kids really wanted to do something that they were comfortable with and pull from their strengths. And so our two builders, one of them is like my son, he's a farm kid and does a lot with a skid steer at our house. And so working with that, like it's basically like an excavator function with two joysticks is kind of how we're going to hopefully manipulate the robot, or that's what we've been practicing with. And that's what he's comfortable with. And so he's like, oh yeah, no, this is what I want to do. I've got this. And then our other builder is like, well, yeah, no, I think that's a great plan. I think most people would think that using tracks is not the way to go, and we might be totally wrong by doing that. But the kids really think that's a great option for climbing up on top of that charge station at the end. Also, we're hoping to be more of sitting down along the wall and having people maybe just bring stuff, game pieces to us so we can quickly place. So that's what they decided. Obviously, we can move across the field if we need to. And we plan to kind of try to do like a finer adjustment so that we can have a fast mode where we're moving across, or a slower, like a creep mode when we're working close to the where you place the pieces at.
And, you said you've been doing this for 10 years. I'm always interested, not only how the students get involved with this, but how the mentors get involved in this as well. What got you into this, and how did you kind of get into this position at this point?
Well, it's always when you come into a new position at the school. So I came here 10 years ago, and you're always like it's like you're fresh meat to all the other things out there. And luckily another robotics coach got a hold of me first, and I was the technology teacher at the time. So I worked a lot with programming and computers in general. And he's like, I think you should join. I think you'll have a good time. And also I have 3 boys, and all of my boys are more inclined to liking things like a robot, as well as working in the shop. They aren't, I guess I have one that's a football player, but the other 2 really do enjoy a lot working with their hands, and they're working at our shop at home, helping their dad, fix things on the farm. And so that's where it came from. I didn't foresee myself probably being in it for 10 years, but my kids are all spaced out. So I've had one that's graduated. Now another one's moved on to the team. I have one that's going to be hitting middle school next year. So it's just kind of letting them kind of progress their way through. So I enjoy it. It's a great thing. I used to be like a volleyball coach, but I'll tell you, I feel that there's a lot less drama on my robotics team than there is on the girls volleyball team. So I'm happy with it.
Well, with that experience, I guess, as a volleyball coach and now as a mentor, I always am interested when it comes to locker room dynamics in sports, and also, in robotics, the dynamics of the pit. And, you get different students, like I mentioned before, anybody can join in. So, there's always different types of people that come in, different personalities. For you, how do you balance those personalities as well, and trying to get them to, maybe come out of their shell a little bit as well, and kind of get comfortable with all these different people?
Long van rides, really long van rides. We always end up traveling for at least one regional. This year we'll be going to Iowa, so that's going to be a fairly long trip. Not as long as some teams, but and then we're together the whole year. We don't just work from January to April. We start slowly in the fall, where we're meeting only once a week. That way we can like each other in small amounts, before we get to build season, and then we're with each other all night long. I will say that at some point in time, most of the people are like, they all hate each other by the end of build season. But that was a lot more so when we were in that crunch time when you only had the 8 weeks. I really do appreciate that they have moved it out and they removed a bag and tag feature where you only had that shortened time schedule. And I think that has reduce the amount of anxiety and pressure. And so the kids do have an opportunity to feel like, well, there's more time than before and we can go about it a little bit more relaxed. We haven't been staying as late as we have in the past years. And I don't know if it's just because we've got some go-getters this year, but I mean, there have been some nights where we've been at the school and it's 12 o'clock and the janitors are walking by like, really, you're still here? And we're like, yeah, we are. We need to go home. So, but with the kids, again, we're a small team. We don't have a ton of kids. And so, and they're a unique group. And I think they all know what each other kind of the ultimate goal is. And so they're always excited to try and get to that end goal. And so we don't have a lot of problems. I should probably knock on some wood. We have a good group of kiddos. I have 7 total. I have 3 girls and 4 boys. And so far, so everything's going well this year.
And then I got to ask too, you've been at this for 10 years now. What are some of the craziest pitches when it comes to, builds and everything like that leading up to the overall build that have actually made it into it? What are some of the, I don't want to say the craziest, what are some of the wildest ones that you've gotten from students?
Well, I have to admit, I'm not the build designed area. Most of the time, if I give any type of opinion, they're like, no, we don't need any comments from you. So I don't think I have a good answer for that. I will tell you that, in every game challenge, there's usually like robots have to do like 3 different things or maybe 4 different things. And our team is always trying to do all of it all the time. And I'm always in the back going, maybe we should just do 1 or 2 things really well and not like try and do all 4 terribly. So I try to be a voice of reason, but I can't say that I get involved a lot in the design because it's just not my forte. I tell everybody I'm logistics. So I make sure I get kids on the team. I make sure that they come to practice. I can get them to competitions. I make sure they're fed. So I don't have a good answer for that one for you, Mac.
Well, I'll ask you this one instead then. For you as a mentor, what's your favorite, aspect of robotics? Because, whether it be the actual competitions and being there for the events or even just the lead up to the actual build of having all these late nights and seeing them create something.
I enjoy when we get to the competition, and I like to see my students start interacting with perfect strangers, people they have no idea who they are. They sit up there and they're like, okay, here's the game plan. You're going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you just see them kind of like take charge, or they're listening and then contributing to what the other game plan is. And just see them very comfortable in themselves. Because, when you start them out in 9th grade and they're like, I don't really know what I want to do and what I'm going to be. But as they get through the years of robotics, I feel like they have things figured out by the time they're going to leave out of here. Like, yep, this person's going to go off and be a programmer. This person's going to be electrical engineer. Like, you see them grow, and robotics helps with that, because if you just were in your own like little school setting, I don't think they get that opportunity to test out how their ideas are going to work and then give them to others. And so when we get to the competitions and they start communicating with others, I think it's a phenomenal thing to see. And it's such a good sport that everybody really should be in it.
Natasha Olsonawski of Team ProDig 3277 joining me. Thank you so much for the time, Natasha. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And that is going to go ahead and do it for us here at the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show. Special thanks to the OtterBots, as well as Team ProDig and the Backwoods engineers for all joining us on this week's edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show, of course, powered by Enbridge. You can go ahead and tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. when this show premieres as well. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to go ahead and check out all of our previous videos, and also be alerted when you ring that bell when our next videos go live as well. I've been Mac Robinson. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you all next week here on the YourLiveEvent.com Robotics Show.